Hello, Gunpla fans. Today it's Speedball Haro, and today I'm going to be doing one of my Gunpla Classics for hashtag Vintage Month, sponsored by Crosama. For those who don't know what that is, it's pretty much the month of May. Pretty much trying to appreciate kits that are, well, past the age of 20. And it just so happens, our friend here, the G-Saviour, just happens to be 20 years old as of this year. So today we're going to talk about this kit and how good or bad it was. Now you probably are asking right now is, why does the G-Saviour look nothing like the box art right here? Well, because I decided to do today is to review all the variants of the G-Saviour that this kit has available. And right now what you're looking at is the original version, or just the G-Saviour itself, as you can see. Now, before I go any further, I know most people that know of the G-Saviour and of its background history probably might not like this kit right off the bat, pretty much because of that. And those who don't know what I mean, because of its legacy from its live-action movie that was made with it. I won't go into too much detail about that because, well, if you really want to know, it's best just to look for yourself. And I did partially explain that in my last of the unboxing for this kit. But to put it simply now, I do want to make this point clear because when I built this kit, I was actually a decent bit surprised on it for its mold. To put what I mean simple, do I think this is a bad kit right off the bat? No, I don't. While building this, I checked all the joints, I worked with everything, see how it felt and all that. And for a kit that's 20 years old, remember that, it isn't terrible. I mean, yes, it has its flaws. Don't forget that. It is 20 years old, so yes, it's going to have flaws. But this one, not as much as I thought it would. Because I always, whenever anyone would mention the G-Saviour or anything like that, it's usually always like, oh no, not that suit. It's the black sheep of Gundam. Don't mention it. It's evil. Stuff like that. Pretty much that fans were never too liking of the G-Saviour, pretty much as I mentioned, due to its legacy. But the kit itself, just the kit now, it's not a bad kit. For 20 years old, it's really not. I mean, and as you can see with its armor disassembled and right here ready to put on, this kit, in fact, and I will make this point right now, I feel bad for this kit for one sense. I feel this kit actually had more potential for it. For what I mean is for multiple releasings of it, or at least of the multiple variants of the G-Saviour. Because for those who don't know, the G-Saviour had at least 4 variants. Two technically, is of what you're seeing right now being the original version of the G-Saviour without any armor, and the second variant being its space armor, or space mode as it says right here. The other variant was a terrain mode, and then a terrain hover mode. So there are at least that many variants. And while I was building this kit, I noticed that this one kit would have actually been released multiple times, or an armor variant would have been released afterwards. Because, here, I'm going to show this right now. If you look at the kit itself, obviously you can tell right off the bat, its arms look a lot skinnier than it should, for especially a kit back from the early 2000s. Because most kits usually had like big chunky legs or such like that, like the old school GMs, RX, and so on. But the one thing I noticed when I was building this guy, here, if you did not see this, one second if I can get that, there it is. If you notice right there in its leg points, that there's that hole point, a perfect peg hole for something to be attached. Because once you build this kit, this doesn't have anything to attach to it. And I mean is, there's no armor, there's no piece, there's nothing to go on here. So you actually, when this is built, there's nothing covering these peg holes. They're just as you see them. Which tells me that this kit was meant to be released either multiple times, or the armor for the other variants would have been released as well for this guy to make them. Because the one thing with the shoulders, as you can see, there's some type of shoulder armor right now, but as you can tell, of course, there's other armor bits to go on there. And as you can see, there's just pegs up here, which tells me that the armor was meant to be changed in and out to make the other variants. And like these pegs right here in the legs, as you can see. There's supposed to be other armor from the other variants, as mentioned, that would have just probably pegged in right there. Or, in this case, because of how the gun has, you can peg the gun on his leg, actually. I'm not sure why, but as you can see, yeah, you can actually peg the gun there. Let's move that. Now, before I put his armor on, I figured I'll do the main articulation for him as he is, so you can see. Because with the space armor, you will have some restrictions. So I figured to show that off right now. So let's start. But as I mentioned, I believed this kit was meant to be released multiple times or with other variants to actually give you the full G-Saviour experience. So I feel bad that this kit was denied that, probably for either reasons due to its popularity, money, manufacturing, however. I just, honestly, I feel bad because this kit could have had more to it. And now, okay, as you can see, he does have a full arm bend, complete, and full 360 of his arm and hand, ball joint hands, so you all know. And now he has a peg point shoulder, so he can turn his arm all the way around, but you don't have like any shoulder joints to move the shoulder in or out, sorry. Remembering being that it is 20 years old. Same with his other arm. And the one difference that his left arm has is that it actually has a peg part. If I can get it back out. Oh, now you want to fight with me? Really? Alright. Wait. Curse my fingers. Give me 1 second. There we go. As you can see right there, his arm is made with a polycap inside this specific arm for a clear beam shield part. As you can see right there, which honestly you probably can't see too well because it is a clear piece. But as you can see, now the white you see there is painted. This whole piece is clear. It's one type. It's no separate colors. Just so you know. And of course, once you remove the other peg, voila. He now has a beam shield. Okay, now to his waist. Now he doesn't have any ab crunching or anything like that. Like I said, 20 years old. But he can spin all the way around when he's like this. Now, sadly though, even though this is a 2000s kit, he doesn't have much neck articulation, sadly. It's due to the construction of the chest section. It's different than I've honestly noticed with kits of his age. The way it's in fact, if a customizer wanted to, and I say this, once you take this chest section off here, the back section that makes the backup is not one piece, it's two. Where the arms pegs are, it's separated in the middle. Once you peg those in, you're supposed to peg the chest in. But in between that space where that chest section and the back section is, there's actually room there if you really wanted to add an actual custom cockpit section in. If you wanted. I just noticed that when I was building this, and I felt like saying, and I wanted to mention that. But as I stated, he does have full articulation here, full knee articulation. He can go all the way back, all the way up, and such. And of course, the one thing I was surprised with this kit to have, especially for its age, he actually has a toe bend. He actually has a toe bend. I mean, when I look at kits that are around his age, I usually get solid feet. But an actual toe bend, that surprised me. And as I mentioned, if you see right there, you got a peg hole for armor and bits and other weapons you can put on if you wanted. or sadly if his other variants had been made. And now, okay, as you can see, that's what he looks from the back without armor and such. Now let's put that down so you can all... Now we can take a separate look at all of his other parts. And that, of course, being his gun. Now, he does come with extra hands. He does have a full... This one's actually a trigger finger hand, which actually has the finger inserted into the trigger part. So that's actually pretty cool. And, of course, being of his age, he has the one classic weapon that most kids at this time had. The beam chopstick. For those who don't know what that was, it was pretty much a one solid color piece for the beam saber. Of course, in this case, he got lucky and got a clear piece for that. And of course, I just repainted the handle to match his handle there. And of course, he has the holding hand to go with it. Alright, let's move that down. Next, of course, is just the armor. It's pretty much one solid piece. The only part that isn't is this gray part. That part you just plug in, and there you go. And same with his other side. Okay, next up we'll look at his side skirt armor. Those who don't know, this is pretty much the verniers for his space mode. And of course, as you can tell, for being this kid of age, you know for a fact that the gray and the whites is all paintwork if you want to make it accurate. And these are very big skirt armor. Now, of course, if you didn't know this, inside are actual vernier parts in there too. Nothing separate, but that means molded. So it was actually pretty decent. So, and of course, the same is said for its other side. See, twins. And of course, just as I mentioned, these are just simple side skirts with the pegs. So these are easy to, plug in and plug out if you want. Of course, yeah, we'll look at this. Now this is just armor parts that you use to attach to the shoulders of the mobile suit and to the backpack. And these come off pretty, decently easy if you want them to cut off. Like I mentioned, because for this kit, or the mold, I should say, I believe this mold would have had more variants if they had done them. Because this is just simple to take off without any worries. So, as you can see. Same with its other side. Next up is the big chunky back skirt armor, which, as you can just tell, it's literally one solid piece. Now, of course, you can, because of that special hexagon peg that it has, which is a little surprising to see, can be used with the gun, which has a hexagon-shaped peg hole on, well, both sides, and yet in different spots. And then, of course, the front skirt armor. Now, if I had to mention anything for this kit's weaknesses, this would play a part in that. At least the armor itself, not the middle piece. Why I say that is, it definitely gives the full space look of it, but the problem is with this part is you'll lose articulation when this piece is on. Because, unfortunately, because of how long it is, as you can see, it can't move that well when it's attached, because it bumps into the actual waist section of the G-Saviour itself. And because it blocks articulation, it does limit it. And of course, being butt armor, that does the same too. Now, of course, lastly is the boost as its backpack unit. Now, of course, as you can see, it simply plugs into the back with these holes. And of course, as you can obviously tell right now, this thing literally has an F91 vibe right on it. Look at it. I don't know if this had any connection to the F91. I don't think it does, but it definitely has that look of it. Now, of course, you might wonder if this is just a molded piece. Nope. You can take it out. Sadly, you can't attach any beams into this one because it's a solid peg. But you can plug it right back in. See? And you get him back his look. Now, None of these are movable, as you can see. They're all just plugged in, and they stay. But, you know, they're decent. They're good. Now, okay, now it's time to put them back together. Let's start with the backpack so you can all see. See? Simple. Next, we'll get his side. These bits of armor. Oh, wait, did I got? No, that's right. See? Simple to put on. And as I mentioned, it is simple to remove when you want to. It doesn't fall off that easy, as see? So you can all see for yourself. Okay, next up, I'll do is his side skirt armor. Oh, no, wait, no, on second thought, I'll put his armor on first so you can see that. See? Simple and easy. As I mentioned, here is once this on, it's like I stated, it definitely is a challenge to get. It limits, and you need something to push in that hard because of how these parts extend out, as I mentioned. They don't really move too far out, sadly. But you know, what are you gonna do? 20 years old, it's gonna have its limits. Of course, then we just go to his side skirt. Other side. Then of course we put on the shoulder. Oh, that tends to do that on me, doesn't it? And of course my bad. Didn't mean to knock that over. Apologies. Of course, we'll suit him up with the gun, just so that way you can see it. And there you have him in his space armor, in his space mode. And as I mentioned, this is the only known variant you can get of the G-Saviour itself. And as you can see, this is his full armor. But as I was showing you as putting him together, the armor comes in and off really easy. And because of that, I truly believe this mold, or even this kit, would have had armor variants to go with it to make the terrain and the hover mode. So, for further reasons, production, fans, whatever it may have been, I don't know. It just never was made. Maybe they just didn't want to. Who knows? Which sucks in a way, because honestly, like I mentioned, this really isn't a bad kit. It was easy to build, easy to detail, no major problems with it. And here, remember, this is a 20-year-old kid I'm messing with. I'm literally shaking as hard as I can right now to show that even a kid this age, nothing's gonna come off that easy. He puts together pretty easy, and definitely stays together. So, as I said before at the beginning, do I hate this kit? No. Do I like this kit? It's definitely a good one. Because honestly, when I've compared to this kit, I have built much younger kits that have, shall we say, could have been better. Definitely could have been better. For one example that I have is a the original high-grade Justice Gundam from the Seed line. When I first got that, just like any of the other Seed kits, it was like that. But the problem with mine was that the backpack of the Justice I had, that thing was, I've had to glue that section of him multiple times for parts. And I'm not joking. Just the randomest of parts on that section would break right off, really easy. I've had to replace the joints for the wings. I've had to glue in the machine guns, and so on. And because of that fact, so when I compare it to a kit like this, for its age, for 20 years, this kit definitely does better in ways. Now, of course, if you compare it to, let's just say, the Moon Gundam, or the RG Crossbone. Of course, this thing is nowhere near that level. But do I think this is a terrible kit? No. Now, do I hope for a revival of this kit in any form? I'd be interested. I would actually be a little interested to see what a revived variant of the G-Saviour would look like. I don't think we'll ever get it, though. I doubt it, honestly. If we did, it'd be cool. But, however, now, simply put, should I recommend this kit to you? If you want a simple kit, something fun and old and such, yeah. Do I simply recommend this kit for anyone? I can definitely recommend it. It's not a bad kit. It's holed up for 20 years. And if you just want a simple kit to play around with, or a kit that's, been over 20 years old, this would definitely do it. So yeah, and this is a perfect kit to kit bash and customize to make the other variants if you want to know. So yes, I can recommend it. Now, of course, I would also say try to get it at a good price, because this kit, you can't get it too often at a low price from what I've seen. I could be wrong, though. It's been a while since I've looked. So yes, I recommend it. It's a good kit. Alright, and I'd like to thank you all for coming, for watching. And I'd like to thank to be a part of the hashtag Vintage Month, and for my G-Saviour to be a part of that. So I thank you all for coming, for watching. I hope you're all safe, healthy, and enjoying your hobby as everyone can. Alright, this is B-Ball Haro saying, have a good day.